many blunders in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Here are a few, selected for your entertainment by Madeline, Patrice, and myself.
So let's begin with the biggest deception associated with this book. It may look like a sequel, sound like a sequel, maybe marketed like a sequel, but it is not a sequel. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is a smack in the face for all of Tom Sawyer fans. It's dark and sad, and is a far cry from tricking your friends into painting a fence.
Not that this book doesn't involve trickery. In fact, it's essentially a series of costume changes and identity crises. Huckleberry, while ironically on a journey to find himself, dresses as Sarah Williams, Buck Grangerford, a servant, and Tom Sawyer. Can I offer you some classic Southern iced tea?
Jim is coerced into acting as the Duke and Daffin's servant. Then he dresses up as a culturally inaccurate Arabian man, until once more he is treated like property.
While we're on the topic of racist treatment, let's talk about the excessive use of the N slur. It's one of the most controversial aspects of the book, often cited by those who believe Huckleberry Finn should be banned in schools.
Although we might think of Mark Twain as a realist writer, his river journey seems a bit too good to be true. Presumably, Mark Twain would have known the Mississippi River very well, so he would also know that a raft doesn't really cut it. You think of it, it's the raging river versus Huck, Jim, good intentions, and the mysterious forces of the Bildungsroman genre.
Furthermore, the raft itself is completely unrealistic. Twain describes it as the Taj Mahal of rafts, complete with a wigwam, some beds, a place for a fireplace, and enough room for 3 grown men to rehearse Shakespeare. Like, come on people, why hasn't this thing sunk yet?
My feet are getting wet. Sorry, Jim, let's scoot over a little bit. Mighty comfortable on a raft, wouldn't you say, Huck? You're my best friend, Huck.
It's hard to say when Twain is being a realist and when he's being satirical. His conflicting tones cause historical inconsistencies and a general confusion for the reader.
Speaking of inconsistencies, Mark Twain really should have consulted with a zoologist. In the novel, Huck pulled a prank on Jim by putting a dead rattlesnake near him while he slept. The rattlesnake's former mate/widow then comes up and bites Jim. It took me 2 minutes of research to find out that non-fictional rattlesnakes do not avenge their dead lovers.
But for the sake of the story, Jim did not die by way of snake poison or inadequate treatment of an animal bite. He goes on to become Huckleberry's friend and mentor, which is ultimately redemption for some of the story's problems. That is, until Tom Sawyer re-enters and ruins everything.
Guys, I'm back. Tom.
So, let's talk about the biggest mistake of the book. Tom Sawyer. Like, this is Huck's book, so what the heck is Tom doing here? He comes and he completely ruins everything. Like, Jim and Huck, they had a good thing going. They were becoming friends and making good progress for the human race. Then, out of the blue, Tom the narcissist has to come and make everything about him.
Tom, we need to think of a way to break Jim out. Okay, so what? I don't know. You're the smart one. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to steal some spoons, and then we're going to dig a tunnel and get to Jim. And that's just step 1.
You could just break down the door.
Huck, that is so simple-minded of you. Don't you ever think?
You know what? Good idea. Let's do a tunnel.
Tom Sawyer should really get a grip. The golden age of painting fences and faking your own death is over. There are no caves in Arkansas, Tom. Actually, there are caves in Arkansas, but it's like just not the point.
Some would argue that Tom is only there so Mark Twain can give a derisive nod to some of the more popular adventure novels of the time, such as Don Quixote. That's exactly why there's a couple agonizing chapters about Tom and Huckleberry breaking Jim out of captivity in the least efficient way possible.
At the end of the book, we are exactly where we started. Huck doesn't know whether he wants to be civilized or uncivilized, or whether he wants to be one way or another. Perhaps this is why it's such a timeless book. Because Twain never really ended it conclusively.